Welcome to another Road to Hollywood. We've got such a special show for you tonight. All sorts of information. You definitely want to take some notes, some websites, some info on how you can progress your career. It's a very exciting time. It's the Road to IES. We are gearing up. It's coming up in August. Just got back from South by Southwest. Just got back from MEDEM over in Cannes, the Consumer Electronics Show. I'm ready for the ASCAP Expo. But we're going to be telling you during this hour why you cannot miss the Indie Entertainment Summit.
That's right.
The whole world is independent now, and this is where you can really elevate and shine. We got two special guests tonight, so get ready. It's double-barreled, and we're going to get all the perspectives going. Our first guest, she is a producer, director, actress, and even a celebrity acting coach. She brings together the talent, the visuals, everything in today's market. Will you please welcome to the Road to Hollywood, Carnetta Jones.
Hey, Jay, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for coming down. Carnetta, give us a little bit of background, kind of where you came from, how you got involved in the business, and the road to what you're doing now.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I've been involved in entertainment industry for quite a long time. I got my master's in acting, and then from there I've just kind of evolved into being a producer and director, actress, and also a celebrity acting coach. I started out as an actress, and then from there branched off into teaching acting, and then I started out actually with Megan Good. She was my first client when she was 11, and so I've been her acting coach ever since. We still do a lot of cool things. We produced a movie recently called Loose. Look for it. And then I just love everything about entertainment, and I just continue to just blossom and take on more speed in other aspects of acting and the industry of entertainment.
So exciting. It's all merging together, the audio, the visuals, the live performance, the merchandising, the branding has never been more fluid.
Yeah.
And we're so excited to have you on the show. And our next guest, she's all the way from the UK via London. Matter of fact, I was just over in Europe, and what's so exciting is so many things are the same and so many things are different. So it's really exciting that the web has brought the world together. But she is a social marketing media expert. She's an online journalist. She makes things happen on the World Wide Web. From London, would you please welcome the Road to Hollywood, Antonia Nyan.
Hey, I'm here from London. My name's Antonia Nyan, and I started off studying media communications as my degree, and from there I went to work for a company called Jump Off TV, and I really found that I was able to blossom in learning social media and being able to tap into the markets and seeing where they network and really get them to follow and raising the brand awareness. And I think that's really where the marketing is heading towards now online, because it's so immediate and instant that people can follow and find out what's happening there and then, rather than having to wait for days or the next day to find out what's happening. So I found out I really had a passion for that and really interacting with people. And from there I went to work for other companies, including BBC, MTV, and also other companies such as Affinity Real Estate, which I worked for doing property. And I found that the skills I learned were so transferable, to any kind of market, any kind of field. It's set skills that you learn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use them with everything.
Sure.
And I found that I was able to tap into markets across the globe and get people to come to the sites, increasing the traffic using the SEO, search engine optimization. And really have learnt so much, and I found that it's been such a great experience for me, and it feels like a great passion of mine that I've been in the media industry, and also being able to do the online journalism as well, where I've been able to meet so many amazing people across the globe coming to LA and back in London. And I think that right now in the industry in London, it's quite small, but it's really, really growing. And it's a kind of a thing where events such as this, the IES, will kind of bridge the gap between the UK and the US and really allow people to break through, because everyone wants to be in LA. It's like the center of the entertainment industry. It's like the capital for entertainment. And I found that with like online industry, it's been able to really make it available for people such as myself and people in the UK, being able to come over and also be recognized for things that may have not been seen before, and then they can find out about stuff like this and also come over. So yeah, I think it's really been a great idea, and for myself as well, finding out about this has been really great for me.
Yeah, it's so exciting in the industry, having been involved for many, many years, to see this evolution. You know, it's got to be scary to many, and I know there's a lot of people that have lost their jobs and lost their enthusiasm because they couldn't adapt.
Sure.
But I think what's one of the most important things about what we do at IS, and really what we're all about with the, the independent, spirit that we, give, is that really you're in control of your own destiny, and these days it's really lifestyle.
Yeah.
It was used to be very segregated, where that's music and this is film and that's dance and this is TV and this is the live theater, and now you're really seeing brands that touch multiple platforms simultaneously. No one can really say you can't do it unless you try it and you fail.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so exciting to see the less dependency of the gatekeepers that we used to have. The record companies are down to 3. There's 3 major labels, and not one of them is an American company. There's not even a UK company anymore.
That's
EMI is sold. You got Universal, which is a French company, Warner, which is owned by Russians, and now Sony, of course, Japanese. And in the film business, you also see a kind of a consolidation, of these studios. And
Sure.
they're greenlighting less pictures, and it's almost waiting for an independent bubble to come up to grab a hold of something. And we're seeing the opportunities now of so much, a combination of what I call old school and new media. Because what I find, one of the problems with companies that are just springing up now and it's all about just social media, a lot of them don't have the depth of marketing or artist development or talent development, where, you can slap something together.
Yeah, you do.
But there's a depth to what people do.
Yeah.
I think it's always good to have a mixture of the both. You can't just rely on one or the other. It's kind of, you have to merge the two together. And I think that balance of both is what makes companies succeed and really like propels them forward, because you can't just say it's all online now. We're going to forget about the conventional marketing, because as you said, it's not that deep, because it's just new. It's all done through trial and error. Some things may not work. Some things do work, some things don't. So you have to see what works and kind of adapt what you're doing to respond to what works and what doesn't work. So I think it is still important to have the traditional methods as well,
Right.
and kind of use a mixture of the both of them.
Yeah, I mean, we're still in a physical world. We just came back from a big festival. A lot of people, whether it be the Super Bowl or the, these different events or sporting events. I mean, you're bringing people together. It's still a physical world.
Yeah.
Social media has to be used in tandem with other things.
Right.
How have you seen the evolution, coming up, developing talent? And there used to be X number of networks, and now literally there's thousands in a way. They might not have, each one of them might not have the numbers that the networks used to have, but the opportunities for great creative people to take their product or art to an audience. It might be a niche audience, but it's
available now
many
to
opportunities.
everyone. Yeah. And that's what I love about the independent spirit of just creators or creative people, is that if you have a simple computer like an iPad or what have you that has the capability of filming or video, you can get yourself a nice little package of tape and submit yourself. So it's not where you have to totally depend on, say, agencies per se, which is fine, agents or producers, directors or studio, but you can look to yourself to create and have the tools that's necessary so that you can be able to be a competitor in the market per se. So I'm an independent director. I do a lot of stuff guerrilla style. I, just grassroots guerrilla style. Get my friends, we get together. They say we come up with a concept, an idea, we write it, and we shoot it. And we max out our credit cards and all that. But the point is that we don't have to look to Hollywood, big, studios to do something that we can just take it upon ourselves to do, because now we have the tools.
Yeah, I mean, why wait for something when you can keep it growing and build that leverage, build the buzz maybe online or word of mouth, where now all of a sudden you have leverage. And you might be able to utilize these big studios or record companies or, as kind of facilitators.
Sure.
They might handle distribution. They may provide some marketing for a percentage. But, to have to sign away all the rights and, of course, usually all the profits isn't necessarily your only option.
Not anymore.
And in the music business especially, we've seen for decades people coming up, everybody wants a record deal. Yeah. Now they don't really know what a record deal is, but they want one because they think it's a fantasy world where somebody's going to give them a lot of money. For what? You haven't sold anything.
And they're not even developing you anymore.
Why would they give you what you're worth? I mean, there's no business going to do that. They want to buy low, build you up, maybe sell you off, because they now they own you. Yeah. A lot of people that are aspiring, unfortunately, to a record deal don't know that in a record deal, the artist is actually the last one to get paid. They're actually the smallest pawn in the game. The hairdresser, the printer, the caterer, the staff, the expensive lunch trip the president just went on, that all is charged back to the office or to the artist times 10.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they spend $1 million and they spend $1 million doing nothing. Now you're $10 million in debt. So imagine if they spend 10, you're now $100 million in debt.
I know some artists, musicians who decided to build a brand on their own, independently, get out their EP, get out their album, do their own music videos and all that, and they create their buzz and they get sponsorship and what have you, and then they start selling units, like tons of units, and they find out that the record labels want to actually do business with them. Go into business with them, like the major labels, and
they have some leverage
because they have leverage. And it's real important to do that.
A lot of them aren't even taking the deals anymore, but you can parlay this into that and leverage this. I mean, a perfect example this year is obviously Macklemore, who literally, without a record label, made his album, went in for independent distribution, and parlayed what little dollars they had into creating a video that I heard cost a few $100s, and then started promoting it with their distributor. When that thing took off on YouTube, now they had leverage with their distributor. Wait a minute, we have a million views, we have 10 million views, we have 50 million views. That's leverage now that there's people out there that might want to see that live. They might want to get behind the artist, and merchandising and be a part of this. And the fact that they could come behind that and have a song just as big, and then of course with the same love song, just was so timely. It was just in the right place at the right time. They didn't have to pay for promotion on that. That was just a viral sensation.
That's what's so nice about social media.
That's the thing with the social media. You don't have to actually pay for it. But it's a thing where you can build up your whole fan base. If they like what you're doing, it gives you exposure. And things travel through word of mouth. People tell their friends, people share it, and then the more people that like stuff, comment on stuff, people think, oh, what's this? And then they want to also have a look at it. Because when they hear about something, no one wants to not know what's going on. When there's like these things that go viral and like the hottest sensation, everyone wants to know, even if it's something because it's a bad thing, people still want to have a look. But it still gives them like publicity and it still gives them attention. But I think that's the thing, that's the beauty of it, because people, even like the big major record companies, they get to see things that they would never have seen before.
Right.
With things like YouTube and all of the different social networks. They would have never seen it before. And it just gives people that opportunity to now get discovered. And I think that's a really, really important thing about social media.
I agree with you. I know with just finding talent, you go to social media and you find out their numbers, and the analytics is like, 1 million views.
They've engaged their audience.
They've engaged their audience. You want to bring them in because they have a fan base. You want to put them in your movie, or you want them to do a song with you because now they have their fan
Exactly.
base.
Adding their fan base to others' fan bases.
Exactly.
And synergize.
And and that's how a lot of people are finding talent. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to just be discovered.
Exactly.
It's another way of being discovered, and it's great.
The power's been brought back to the people in a sense, you know.
Exactly.
You get all the gatekeepers away. It's really the creative people and the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that great that we don't have to go through all these
Yeah.
people that want to change us and
Yeah.
take our ideas from us and
Exactly.
all that? You still need a team. We always say in the independent world, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And that's what we're talking about is networking among each other.
Networking.
It's what IES is about, which of course we're going to be talking later in the show. But it's making those new connections. Sometimes there's these people at these higher levels, unless you're introduced to someone, you
Yeah.
just can't call them on the phone.
You cannot.
They're not picking up.
Yeah.
And even if they did, they would probably hang up.
Right. They'd be like, "Who's this?"
But you
Well,
have a
Miss
chance
Mistake.
to make a first impression at an event like IS where
You
literally,
do.
if you're prepared,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and one thing we teach people is that elevator pitch, that succinct
elevator
minute or two. If you can't explain yourself and get somebody interested in 1 or 2 minutes, something's
Yeah.
wrong. If you got to like pull out your demo and here and check this out and read my script, no, you give me a reason why I would even take that
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah. So
You know.
important to be prepared.
Yeah. How you describe yourself or that package or what you have to offer. Sometimes these decision makers, they're making a decision in the first 10, 20 seconds.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't learned how to, again, know how to market yourself, again, everything's a brand. You're a brand, your company, your release, your talent, your whatever it is, you know. And we've obviously gone from more of a DVD and a CD world into a digital and physical world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the problems a lot of people think, again, we're talking about, we're still in a physical world. In Japan, still 70% of all the music is on CDs.
That's
And
a
they're
lot.
paying like $30 a CD.
That's wonderful.
They don't flinch.
Do you think they're a little bit behind?
No, they're not behind because technologically they're ahead.
Yeah.
But they like
The
that
hand
format.
feel.
We all know you spend all this money getting the song right, get the
Yeah.
right instruments, it's mixed,
Yeah.
and then you smash it down to an MP3, which is not built
You
for
lose the
fidelity.
quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You lose quality. So, as we've seen, vinyl is stronger
It's
than
coming
ever.
back, yeah.
Vinyl's bigger in the last year than it has been the last
Yes,
15
it has.
years.
It has.
20 years.
Yes, I
So
get excited about that.
there's some people that again miss that magic of dropping the vinyl and hear a little bit of pop and hiss, a little bit of, you know, it's like when you go to a live show, you don't want a lip sync, you don't want everything canned.
Yeah.
I was just watching a clip of Prince last week on Arsenio. It's live, it's funky. He's you know, it's improvisation.
Yeah.
They're jamming out,
It's
and
present.
there's something about that you're on the edge of the
Authentic.
cliff.
Yeah, you can feel the real energy there.
Yeah, talk about that. Just the combination again is, as technology has come in, why that human touch, why these relationships are still vital.
Very vital, very important. I just feel, just pretty much like you feel, we're in a very much a human world, and we love contact, and we love conversation, and we have to connect. It's something about a vibe. It's something about just conversating and sharing your passion with someone that will never leave. Because once you have a connection, then you know the next step is probably synergy. The next step, like, hey, let's do something together.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
and
true,
so
because you have to really make that relationship, build relationships with people
Yeah,
for them
you
to
have to.
really like take you seriously, because they if they haven't met you, they don't really know what you're like. If they've met you, they can be like, yeah, they confirmed what their beliefs are true.
Yes.
And that's why I think networking events are such a vital part of
yes.
the industry, because it allows you to meet people, and like you're saying, the elevator speech, that is vital, because you have to just sell yourself in that short amount of time, because it lets people know in the first few seconds, like first minute or so, if they're interested or not. They'll just switch off if they're not interested. So you've got to be able to just sell yourself without having to say, okay, let me go and get my
let
CD
me
from my
drag
bag or my
EPK
yeah,
from my
exactly.
press kit out.
So you've got to keep them interested. Have your business card, give it there, and then if they liked you, they'll contact you, and you try and like just exchange with them business cards and try and keep in contact with them. And I think it's really
or they
good.
might take your call because you have a reference.
Exactly.
That I met you
Because
at
they
IES.
remember you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
put him
exactly.
through. You know, it's a reference.
Yeah.
Like I say, you only have a chance to make a first impression, once, and
Yeah.
it's vital. If you formed a bad impression, it's so much harder to try and turn that around. Again, we have so much stimuli that's bombarding us every day. We're going to gravitate to what's good, what the energy is right,
That's
where
right.
somebody is, bringing something to the table.
Yeah.
We look at businesses. There used to be these big companies that had a lot of employees and a lot of branches and offices, and now you're seeing small, nimble teams of ninjas that are just
Literally.
making things happen.
Yeah.
And some of the biggest records, some of the biggest reality shows, some of the
Yeah.
biggest TV, and we always were so excited. Grammys. There was more independent artists that won Grammys this year than ever before.
Ever before.
And there's always some movies in the Oscars. Always some TV shows. I saw the House of Cards and all. It's a Netflix show.
Yeah.
Is winning the Emmy and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's very exciting to see that the public has a choice.
They
If
do.
they like it, they don't
That's a
care
good
what
point.
studio, network, or
Right.
label it's on.
It's all about viewership and the power of viewership. You're right. And that's really kind of weird and crazy for me, too, because the box office can kill a film, even if they have amazing cast, like all A-listers. But if you don't get the viewership, if you don't get the butts in the seats, you're not going to have a
Yeah.
big blockbuster, weekend.
Exactly. It's all about who wants to
Who wants to see it?
kind of see it, and it's all about building up the audiences and getting the right target audience for what your
Yeah.
whatever product you have, and really branding it to them and marketing it to them, and getting in touch with who wants to actually
Yeah.
see that product or see that film or buy that CD or listen to it. Because if you've got the wrong target and it's not getting to the right person, then you're not going to get
You're not going to get the
anyone
butts in the seats.
exactly in the seats.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, really important.
Exactly. I mean, these days it's just so fluid, to get people's attention because they're bombarded by so much spam and stimuli and commercials and everything. I call them speed bumps. You have to create something where it forces people to slow down for a second
That's good.
and take a second look. Like, what is that? It's like rubbernecking on the freeway. What is that over there? You got to slow down,
Yeah.
give them a reason so they can absorb it. Not only do our favorite artists and favorite actors and people, these are people that had some time to create that impression on us over their history and their catalog. But now you got to grab them in the first minute or two and give them a reason to slow down and check out the depth of what you have to offer.
Yeah.
We're so excited you tuned in. It's the Road to Hollywood. We are gearing up for an incredible IES. We have two special guests in the studio with us tonight. Cornetta Jones, she is a producer, director, actress, and a celebrity acting coach. She's all about creating the incredible visual forms that we love. And Antonia Nyan, she is all the way from the UK. She's a social media and marketing expert, and she's an online journalist. We're going to go to a little clip where we interviewed Ice Cube and Snoop and Timbaland. We're talking about managers, choosing a manager. What is a manager? A lot of artists think a manager is somebody's going to come in and invest in them, or they're going to do all the work for them. They don't really understand the role of a manager. So we're going to go to a little clip here. We'll be right back with our special guests and more on The Road to Hollywood.
While you're in the studio making music, working on some lyrics or collaborating with producers, you won't have time to return every phone call, take every meeting, decide on each business opportunity, and interact with the record company. That's where a manager comes in. The manager works with an artist on a day-to-day basis, creating opportunities for their artists and advising them on their careers.
But a lawyer is someone who is going to look over any contract and is going to comment on the actual contracts and on the actual paperwork. So a manager will often be the guy that will generate that paperwork because we'll go out and get the deal.
A manager is really an artist's personal liaison between the label and the artist, between the lawyer and the artist. A manager is able to really express things from a business perspective on the artist's behalf.
What you should look for in a manager is completely dependent on what you want for your career. I think you'd like to find someone who's essentially honest, I mean, you can't ask them to be like holy, but you can require that they be accountable, and I think that's really important. Someone who's connected but doesn't rely on connections, someone who can actually show a record of having delivered goods. Don't just find someone who says they know everybody. Find someone whose work you already admire. Like, have they worked with other bands? Try to get yourself in with a manager who isn't totally busy because he's so successful, but at the same time is on his way to being totally successful and busy.
But a lot of established artists depend on their managers, and the reason why they're established is because they had good management.
The role of a manager, everything. Businessman, confidant, analyst. There's so many roles that we play on a daily basis.
Management is the most loosely defined position in the entertainment industry. People can be managers who are almost tour managers. People can be managers who just happen to be a sibling of yours. People can be managers who are your best friend and hand holder and help you, you know, when you need to cry on someone's shoulder. There's such a wide range of managers. Some managers kick ass. Some people are like humored by the label. Everyone's like, yeah, it's the manager.
The role of a manager is to basically babysit. No, it's just like, they wear all hats in the game. They do my job. They can partially do what I do as far as finding records with them, finding producers. They deal in all tails with the label. They deal with the marketing. They deal with the presidents. They deal with publicity. They deal with promotion. The manager is on top of all of it. Their job is to be on top of all that. And also, if you're successful, go out and get you a good tour so you can make some money touring.
The basic role of the manager is to guide the artist, his career, and to make sure the artist is never put into a situation that'll hamper his career, but always will help the career grow.
I want to be here in 5 years. And I think what that means is I pass through this kind of radio accomplishment, I pass through this kind of record sales, et cetera, whatever you want to be. Then meet someone and interview people who can do that for you. If the relationship stops being fruitful for either of you, you can dissolve it. It might be a little expensive, but it won't be that bad.
There's some words of wisdom from some incredible artists and superstars right there. All about what a manager does and what they don't do. You know, it's all about building a team. And tonight we've got two very special guests. We're going to be talking about building the ultimate team and getting out there and campaigning for your talent, your art, your product, your brand, whatever you want to call it. It's about mobilizing a team of people that work together. Tonight, our two special guests, Carnetta Jones. She is a producer and director, actress. She does it all. She's the celebrity acting coach. And we also, all the way from England, from beautiful London, and we love it because LA and New York and London, we're like the entertainment capitals of the world, and we've all been joined together in the greatest way now on the web. Antonia Nyan, she is a social marketing media expert and an online journalist. So again, welcome back, guys. Let's talk about that, building the team.
Yeah.
Because, you know, people hear about a manager and they hear about an agent and they hear about a producer. And, you know, in music, you kind of know that, well, the producer's the guy who's kind of making the music. Mm-hmm. When in a bigger musical situation, there's an engineer and there's a mixer and there's a producer and an associate producer and all. Forget about a movie. You know, you see the movie credits go, you know, with dozens and dozens of people. But talk about, you know, what's important in building your team, and whether we're talking about a marketing campaign, we're talking about a theater production, a TV show, a movie, whatever it is, talk about what's important as far as choosing the members and kind of how that team functions to maximize the talents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you start out with the nucleus. Say, for example, if you're doing a film, you start with the nucleus, which would be the producer. And the producer brings on the team. And the team that I usually...
So he's kind of like the coach.
Yeah, he's like the coach. Yeah, he's the coach.
He's choosing the talent and the assistants and...
Yeah, what he does, he chooses his department heads, and then they'll do it. So, for example, if I'm producing a film and it was my idea, I got the copyrights to the film. The script is already written, so I found a writer for that. That's usually the initial things you have to do. You have to have a script. you have to have a writer. If it's not just only an idea, you have to have it written. And then once you do that, then you begin to bring your team together. So what I would do is I would bring a director in on it, a casting director in on it, and then from there we have to bring in the location scout so that we can find where we're going to shoot it. Then we have to get all the other different departments, wardrobe and hair and what have you. But for the most part, the nucleus would be the producers, the executive producer, the person who's going to fund the show. So you have to bring an executive producer on, and that's a producer's job to find money for the idea for the script. And then in regards to an actor, you have to be a skilled actor. You have to be trained. You have to be extremely focused and serious, and you have to have a resume and pictures that you start out with. Those are your tools. And then from there, you start looking for an agent representation, talent representation, either a management that represents talent to get them work, having a relationship with casting directors, or you can find an agency, a talent agency that has a relationship with casting directors and so forth. And then from there, you get someone to say, okay, I'm going to send you out. I'm going to submit your pictures to various casting directors for various projects. And from then, it's a responsibility of the actor to be prepared, meaning that once they have an audition with a casting director for a project, they have to be off book, meaning that everything totally memorized, dressed in somewhat close to the character, not necessarily, full on, regalia of some kind of character, but close to it, so they can get an idea how the person would close to the description. And then from there, then they'll get a call back, and then they'll meet the director, the producer, and then from there they'll be on set, depending where it is. And that's in a nutshell. So, but the actor has to have an agent, a manager, and then from there they need, if they start making a lot of money, you got to have a lawyer, you got to have a business. Financial.
You got to handle your business, whether it's a small shoot or a big movie.
Yeah.
You got to handle your business.
You got to handle your
Sometimes
business.
that involves several people. Initially, it might be one person wearing a few hats that are good at what they do.
Exactly.
Until you can afford.
Until you can afford
a
it.
bigger team. Now they always talk about above the line and below the line.
Yeah.
What is that? Explain that.
All right. Above the line is for the producer's money, producer, executive. Other producer, and below the line, how you pay the actors, how you pay the staff, meaning all the different departments, wardrobe people, stylists, location manager, production assistant, that goes into, and then of course P&A also goes into below the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a small army that we see making these, but then again, you turn around and you're seeing some of these reality shows that literally look like it's a couple cameramen and a few people. And I know, like we just said before, there are no rules.
Yeah.
As long as it looks good and people want it,
Exactly.
advertisers want it, and guess what? They just broke all the rules.
Yeah.
Where a network might have 250 people, this one had a dozen people,
So that's the
and
difference.
they made it work.
That's the difference between, you get a production company, because I do create reality shows, and I had the blessing of having a reality show picked up by E! Entertainment. It was called Fame of the Family. It only ran maybe 3 months. It didn't have a long life. However, I did go through the entire evolution of getting it involved and putting it on a show. And so the key thing about producing any product for television or film is to have distribution.
Yeah.
And so you have a production
pipeline.
company, a pipeline. So you get a production company, say you establish a production company. I have a lot of friends who I can just bring on and do it for me. But then, so what do you do with the product? So that's where the network comes in. That's where you have to pitch a network to say, okay, look, this programming fits your program. This program fits your programming. It's your brand, and you have to know what it is. From there, you go on and pitch, and it's such a long process. But it's all about synergy. It's about having a strong team, knowing what you're doing, and then the reliability of the people and the skill of the people that you're dealing with, and of course the commitment and the trust has to be there.
So very similar to a sports team.
Yeah.
You know, everybody performing at their highest level,
Yes.
performing well, and overcoming any shortcomings anyone might have and blending it together. Now,
That's
Antonia, please tell us about a marketing campaign, because we know there's the offline
Yeah.
team and there's advertising and all that. When you're putting together a social media campaign, what are the most important team members in that? And then what outside forces do you need to synergize with?
I think with the teams now, with like the online marketing, I think the teams can be smaller than say before with the conventional marketing
Yeah.
teams. I think a lot of the times now people have got multiple skills and they can do like maybe like they can do the graphics, they can do the code, they can do the websites, they can do the coding, the SEO. And I think companies now are really utilizing that. People will do a lot more for the same money kind of thing. And I think it's just a thing you've just kind of got to do. If you want to get work, you're going to have a lot more skills and be able to kind of help out in different departments, because I know I've certainly done that, helped out in different departments that may not necessarily be my exact job description, but then I think it's good because it helps you build up other skills that you may find really valuable to you, you know. So I think with the marketing campaign, you have to decide. First thing I like to establish is who is the target market, who is the audience,
Gotta
who
have
am
a
I
goal
trying
in
to
mind.
who am I trying to target, and then you come up with a pitch. Also, you can come up with how you're going to tap into that market, what you're going to do that's different from everybody else, because you don't want to be the same. You want to try and find something different. Also, just really find out what's your strongest kind of marketing and your kind of network. You want to see what's the strongest network that you need to be on. Not just neglecting the other ones, but you want to know which one you want to be most dominant on. And then with things like Hootsuite and TweetDeck, you can also like schedule posts and stuff like that, which is really, really good and helpful. So with things that are going to be done like maybe once a week or every day, you want to change it up a bit. You don't want to have the same post every single day kind of thing. You change it up if there's like a competition. And I think things like competitions and things like that, that's really good in getting people interacting and getting people involved, because they want to win the thing. If they want to win tickets or they could win a holiday or an iPad or things like that. I've done various competitions, and it really gets people involved. And also things like building up your databases and making sure every time you get a business card, you keep it and you add it to your list of your database. So then when you want to send out a mail out or a HTML, you can send it out to everybody. Also, with some of the CRM systems, they allow you to put people in different categories to see maybe this person is for this or for that, you know, so you don't send out the same thing to people that may not be interested in a certain thing or a certain
That makes sense.
genre or a certain area. So you can kind of select who you want to send things out to. And I think that's really important, because you don't want people to think, oh, they're just sending me junk that I'm not interested in.
Sure.
Yeah, so you want to, rather than, and with the database, there may be like thousands of people, you want to do it as you go along, so it's not a thing where on the day you're sending it out, you have to look through everything then. So it's just a quick thing because you've done it as you've gone along. I think that really helps, just to remind people the product's still there, you're still there. And they may have forgotten, maybe like once a month you want to remind them.
That's
and then
really good.
they can come to you when they're ready, when they need, when they find something they're interested in, they'll look at it. You know?
Yeah, it's really like an extension of your brain. As long as you know where your target audience is, your team and your technologies are just extensions of your brains to help execute the plan.
Yeah.
And whether it's real people and live action or whether it's online and technology, it still really comes down to the creativity and the marketability, you know, on your team.
Sure.
And I always try and tell people, like you say, as important as the pipeline is, build in your selling points from the time you conceptualize your campaign or your production, whatever. Know where your strong points are, because ultimately it's going to come down to some kind of advertising, marketing, social media, type of attack to get people to watch,
Yeah.
to get them to tune in, get them to click,
Yeah.
to get them to attend the event, to get them to show up at a certain time and watch a program. So it always helps. It's always hard when somebody creates art in a void, and then you're like, wait a minute, who's the audience?
Yeah.
How are we going to try and reach them?
Yeah.
Where do we go? You know, and it doesn't have to be so calculated. It can be creative business. And coming up as a creative person myself, playing instruments and in bands and stuff for years before, I pushed myself to the business side because I realized you can be the most talented person in the world, but if you're stuck in your apartment or your basement,
Exactly. No one's gonna
no
know.
one is ever going to know
Yeah.
what you got. And I still think some of the most talented people in the world are
Yeah.
in their day jobs and basements and
Sure.
never to be seen.
Sure.
So it's important about developing, what you have. Let's talk a little bit, about as you have the team together, these days, again, we're talking about a very fluid kind of a atmosphere where sometimes you have to adapt on the second and kind of have that flexibility. So talk about going into a production or a project, the kind of flexibility you need to let it kind of take its own course, but to steer it, to keep it, within the realm of what your outcome or your audience is, and how to do that, be fluid and solid at the same time.
Well, I just believe that when you get involved, so you bring on a team, and when you are right in production of a film or a television show, things happen. And you need to know that your leader is, first of all, passionate and yet not overly emotional thinkers, and that can just adapt. And the leader, everything trickles down. If the leader's cool and calm and say, we got it, we got lemons, we can make lemonade out of it. So that usually it just trickles down to everyone else. Or if you have a person who is a problem solver, and I'm very much a problem solver. We had an incident. I was working in Biloxi, Mississippi, working on a film that I produced, and the weather was crazy. It's something that had never happened before. It was snowing in Biloxi, which is off the Gulf Coast. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. You see snow on sand, and then you see the body of water there, and our production was only on a very, tight schedule, and so we needed every day to work. But we couldn't because all the bridges were iced over. So what did we do? We decided, okay, we're in this hotel. Everybody loves us. And, you go to Mississippi, you bring your talent and celebrity there. They're excited about that. So we talked about it, and then we asked the hotel, hey, can we use your restaurant to shoot these scenes? Can we use your office to shoot another scene that we had? It was like a social worker kind of a scene, and we needed an office. We made do, and everybody rallied around. Nobody tripped out. Nobody got crazy. We made do. Mm-hmm. And we didn't sacrifice the project at all, but what we did was we were very fluid. We just went with the flow. And we got a beautiful project. We've already started looking at, the editing. Oh, it's amazing. It's called Loose. So excited.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Tony, tell us about, again, in a social media campaign, it's obviously very fluid. There's tweets that are being created on the fly. There's, updates. There's way to market this. What is the most important thing as far as being, in the moment, and some of the tools that you use to kind of change up, where it needs to be?
Yeah, I think it's just all about being really quick as to what's happening and really being on point and on the ball to see what's happening, and if there's any breaking news or if something isn't working in your campaign, you don't want to be wasting your time or putting people off. So you have to see what the response is, and if you're getting a bad response, you have to be kind of quick to change it and come up with a contingency plan. I think it's always good to have a plan B kind of thing, a backup plan, just in case idea you thought was going to be amazing kind of fails or flops. You have to be able to really switch it up quickly to see, okay, we'll do this instead and see if it works. And I think that's the thing, not everything will work. Some things will work, some things won't work, and you have to really just see. It's trial and error. It's quite a new field at the end of the day.
Sure.
You want to see what works for you, and change it up to see if it's effective or not. So it is quite fluid and also solid at the same time. But you just have to see what works.
Yeah, again, it's like a stand-up comedian. You're reading the room, you're going with the flow. They don't like that one. A guy's heckling you. You got to kind of, orchestrate your performance based on the room, the audience. They're part of your show.
That's true.
And I think a lot of people come into any of this thinking it's by the book, by the script, by
not at all.
by the law. And I think more and more, like I say, especially from the independent world, we have that flexibility to create on the moment.
Yeah.
We have the flexibility to be one with the audience. And ultimately, I always say, that's who we work for. That's who employs
Yeah.
us,
I
is
get
our
that.
audience.
Sure.
We can create great art and products and brands all day long. If people don't buy them, what happens? There's nothing there.
Exactly.
So, the commerce, the audience reaction is really the wheels that turn any of this.
Sure.
In sequels or, obviously in the music and entertainment world, hopefully that one song leads to the next one. And then all of a sudden you have a few. People want to go see you live because they know more than the one song.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You got to get past that one-hit wonder. Let's talk about, YouTube a little bit. Obviously, like I always say, even about the internet, it's the greatest thing and the worst thing that ever happened. It's that double-edged sword. Talk about YouTube. It's just such a behemoth now that there's more eyeballs on that than Fox, NBC, and ABC and CBS put together. Talk about how you've adapted to the YouTube world and what is the benefits or, what's the problem with YouTube?
Yeah, I love YouTube. I mean, everyone has their own channel right now, and I think that if you want to be a part of the whole social media or wanted to create a fan base, you have to be able to have your own channel these days. So I love it because you can be your own star in your own right. You can sing, you can act, you can do whatever you want with your channel. And I think it's very cool to be able to have that accessibility for everyone and anyone. Of course, the downsides of it is that you probably get a couple of crazies on there, and that's just how it is. But you can't throw the bath out with the baby out with the bathwater. So, I use it a lot for just research. And there's so much out there.
Yeah, a lot of documentaries,
a lot of
interviews.
documentaries, a lot of interviews. I find so many cool things about it. I just researching a lot of cool
Once
things.
we get used to anything, we try and remember, how do we get by without that? What did we do before cell phones or computers?
Yeah, right. I went on YouTube for you. I was like, Hollywood. I'm like, what? Let me see what this
Check
guy
that
was
out.
like. What's it all about?
And please tell us again, YouTube's obviously a big tool.
very,
You've got
very
Twitter and
big
Facebook
tool.
and all that, but how do you utilize YouTube and what do you think is the best way to maximize that power?
Literally everything is recorded nowadays. You can't. Anything goes wrong, it's up on YouTube in like seconds. Any kind of live event or anything. So literally, it's good and it's bad, but generally, I think overall it's good because it allows exposure to anybody and everybody. So you can come up with anything in your bedroom, and it can be seen by anybody. Literally, the top producer or the top execs at a record company, top A&R people. It can open doors that could have never been opened before.
I didn't even know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah? No, Karen?
I was just going to say, I even know some producer directors, casting directors, if they have to choose between an actor and they'll look at their social media.
Yeah, definitely.
See what's up.
Because
It's an important. It
builds up a background, and you can see what they've done, what they do.
You have to be on. Like I have a website. You have to have online presence. You have to if you're an actor. It's important. I know for musicians you have to because that's your information there. All your music is going to be online.
Videos, your concerts,
all that you have to. But same for actors. I mean, yes, they have the acting reel, but they want to know if you're on Twitter. What are your numbers on Twitter? If you're on Instagram, what are your? They want to see, because now that's important for the studio people to see. If they're going to bring, if they have a fan base.
If they're going to bring it in their following, kind of.
Yeah, if they're going to bring their following in.
Yeah, it's exciting. Well, one thing that YouTube has definitely done is really brought together as one globe. all these markets. Used to be all this talk about foreign markets, and there's still a degree of that. But when you put something on the World Wide Web like YouTube, and people from all over the world are watching it, it's really blurred these lines between Canada and the U.S. and England and
that's the
Germany
thing.
and
It builds
Japan,
bridges,
Australia.
literally.
Love it.
Yeah, I know in the concert business they say it has they've had the biggest years ever because YouTube has opened up markets like down in South America or Africa or places where they can go where they didn't before, but now there's an audience. In New Zealand and Iceland and Bulgaria for these musical acts.
Yeah.
So you can literally bypass the record companies and the movie studios and become a star in Bulgaria or
I've heard of people that are so
anywhere.
huge in little countries in Europe, and they're really loyal followers to and fans of artists that maybe not so big in the US or in the UK, but they might be really big in Sweden or Finland or and I think they get really excited with just the talent rather than the big name, and so I think it allows people that have actually got a talent to really, really build up their fan base and really build up their name, and then that's where they can then break into the other markets and the other countries because they've already got their fan base. So people think, okay, they've got 1 million views or something, they've got really like tens of thousands of followers, there must be something good about them, let's have a look, whereas if I think with people in a country and then there's people in the same country, I think they have, I don't know if sometimes it's a stigmatism or a bit of jealousy that they don't want to necessarily support them sometimes. I find that in London sometimes. I don't know about here, but I think they prefer artists from, say, LA to the UK artists. They'll want to follow them. Whereas I think with some of the countries in Europe, they're such as like Sweden and Finland, they will still support the artists just because they're good, not because where they're from. So I think that is also a good thing that YouTube allows people to really just break into different industries.
It's on demand. You can watch what you want when you want. That's an incredible thing.
Yeah.
As we wrap up the show, again, we want to talk about IES, the Indie Entertainment Summit. This year it's August 6th through the 9th. It's right here in Los Angeles. All roads lead here. So we have people come in from over 20 countries, all 50 states. It's growing. The people from all ends of the business. And what's great about it, as opposed to a lot of these other conferences, they're either too techy or either too specific, like they're just an acting or a YouTube conference or they're a songwriting conference. What we do is we bring it all together. It's the creative, it's the business sides, the technological sides, and merge it because really we're all building our own brands. And Carnetta was at last year's event, and we certainly look forward to having her on a panel this year. She can speak of her experience there. And Antonia, we can't wait to invite you back and have you a part of this because, like you say, it's the bridge of all these cultures, all these platforms, all these forms of entertainment. When it comes down to it, we're really all together. It's all lifestyle. It's all marketing. It's all creativity. So, Carnetta, tell us a little bit about, again, why people need to be at IES and to be able to not only learn from the people that are really making things happen in the industry, but to share what they have to people that they might do business with.
That's what I loved about IES last year. It was my first time being a panelist, and I met some incredible people that were wanting to get into reality show business, and it was such a connection. They can just walk right up to me and we can talk about it and I can give them information. We exchanged cards and it was just the accessibility, the approachability. Everyone was wanting to help each other. So it wasn't so huge and so cold and sterile, but actually everyone there, they wanted to help. They wanted to be available to say, okay, this is what you need to do. The music was jamming. I went to all the conferences afterwards, and I saw NWA, the kids.
Oh my
that
gosh,
family, that
the
was
NWA
amazing.
Induction.
Yes, that was so much fun. And just meaning that everyone there, they didn't have any stuck-up attitudes as to saying, I'm not approachable, like I'm too special. But everyone was there really to connect and to help. Even a person like a panelist, I was there. I was wanting to meet other people and expand my brand, and it was available. So I think that everybody could get something from it, or even give to it.
Those connections can be priceless. That one person met somebody, they could have made millions of dollars, or toured the world, or did something that without that introduction would have never happened.
Yeah.
This year, a little sneak preview, some of the people that we're going to be inducting. Very, very exciting. The Miles Davis induction with Miles' whole family, his son and daughter and wife and everybody. Little Richard, the architect of rock and roll.
The architect of rock and roll.
Might be the greatest event ever. Russell Simmons and Rick Rubin, 30
Get
years.
out.
30 years since, Def Jam was created in Rick's dorm room in college.
Oh, wow.
What a success story that he and Russell have had.
Definitely.
Smokey Robinson. There's a big, long list of the hip-hop artists and rock-ons. Stay tuned. Again, IES Fest is the website. That's IESFEST.com. That's short for festival. And Tanya, why is it important that people become a student of the game, learn every day, and be at an event like this that can really explode connections or knowledge in these industries?
It's really important because you never know who you're going to meet, and you should always be prepared to meet anybody. You should always have your cards with you. Always be prepared to just sell yourself.
Yeah.
You don't want it to sound so robotic and like you're really trying to sell yourself. You want to build up a rapport with them and also be able to sell yourself at the same time. So I think, it's very important. Because
And have something to offer. A lot of people are just bugging people. Here's a script. I got a demo.
Yeah.
you don't want to do it like that. You don't want to do it like that. You want to do it in a way that's like kind of a natural way.
Yeah.
And make them like you and remember you at the same time.
It's again, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Yeah.
You need to build bridges with these people and learn from those that are doing what you want to do
Exactly.
at IES.
You want to see
And
what
every
you can
year,
show them.
one of the great things that I love, we call it the IES success stories. It's basically what we do is we take a success, a breakout success, and what we do is we reunite a lot of people from that. And what we are able to do is no one can recreate a success, but the best thing you can do is figure out how they made it happen. What was the mindset? There's always something to learn. And of course, one great thing is to learn from failures. Some people are
Learn from
afraid to
mistakes.
fail. They're not going to make it in this industry. You
Yeah.
got to go out sometimes without a net. So I think that is one of the great things that, again, you guys, we really want you a part of. The speakers, the people that we love. I mean, these people can barely get out of their office for an hour or two. That's how incredible people that are in front of you. But come to IES. It's a fraction of the cost of these other conferences. It's right here in the entertainment capital of the world. All the buses, the trains, the subway, everything leads right there to NoHo. And we're so excited to put this on. Inexpensive place to stay. Jump on the site and give us a call. We look forward to having you there. And in future shows, we're going to be talking to some of the other guests who are going to be speaking at IES and going to be a big part of helping you expand and maximize your success. So again, I want to thank our special guest tonight, Carnetta Jones. She is an amazing producer, director, actor, celebrity acting coach, and all the way from the UK, which we all can't wait to visit. It's from London, and Tanya Nayan. She is a social marketing and media expert, online journalist. Thank you so much, guys, for coming down.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you,
We
Jay.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
so
And we'll
much.
see you next week on the road to Hollywood.